BizTV home strong every weeknight. We're also in 150 radio stations. That's right, we're TV and radio at the same time. Thanks to BizTV, Biz Talk Radio Network, American Forces Network, iHeartRadio, and of course U2 America. Big Biz shows on the air. Look at the Dave Taylor Clock Show. So my good friend Eric Dresselhuys is the CEO of ESS Inc, stock symbol GWH. We're talking about long duration energy storage, and I was stuck in that travel mess in New York, trying to get out of town back to San Diego for literally 48 hours, and was stuck just reading. Right in the middle of this, not just one, but 3 articles pop up about the Department of Energy recognizing that long duration energy storage is now a critical technology. And this is everything from industry magazines all the way to the Wall Street Journal. Here to talk about that with us today, Eric Dresselhuys, once again, is the CEO of ESS Inc. Eric, I'm sure you've seen some of these articles, but boy, it's been a big 24, 48 hours for you guys. I mean, suddenly you guys are as important as cybersecurity. You're as important as anything. It's amazing.
Well, if you don't keep the lights on, Sully, it's a little hard to do all the other stuff.
That's probably true. This isn't news to you. You guys have stressed the importance of long duration energy storage, but there's a difference with you folks. And if I'm not mistaken, it's the iron flow batteries that makes it a game changer for renewable energy. I'm going to let you take that over again to answer the 50 emails I get every time you're on the air. But talk about that a little bit.
Well, yeah, it's really 2 things. The first is, as you said, all of a sudden everybody's recognized that the reliability of the energy system is pretty critical. And as we move to more and more renewables, they're inherently intermittent. So you have to find a way to store the energy for a longer and longer period of time. And with iron flow technology we can do that for 8, 10, 12 hours, much longer than you can do with lithium, which is really the technology that's been used here to date. But the other thing that's really come up is this idea of energy security. We build these batteries in the US. They use iron, salt, and water as their core electrolyte. So we're not reliant on anything from China or mines in South America to build the batteries. And that's becoming top of mind for people.
What's interesting about this energy security is it comes down to the intersection of cybersecurity, long duration energy, and regular security. Boy, yeah. We keep on hearing, we're most suspect at our power grids and so on and so forth. This sort of solves that problem, or at least mitigates that problem at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. I just got back from a trip to Europe, Sully, and Germany is all of a sudden woken up to the fact that they get almost all of their fuel, natural gas, from Vladimir Putin. So yeah. How well do they sleep at night?
And that's a piece of this too. I keep on talking. I was on a couple other major networks just as a pundit, talking about how we're in a global economy. We've never been in more of a global economy. And I'm not just talking about your 401ks with the publicly traded companies that are doing business with folks across the country or across the world. I'm talking about the fact that when you've got the type of events that have happened in the last couple of weekends in Russia that causes a spike in energy, pardon me, up 8%, which means everything goes up 8%. But it also makes the entire grid fragile. Talk about that piece of it.
Well, yeah, I mean, we built a grid, I tell people this all the time, and at the end of the 20th century, they took a vote of what the most important engineering achievement was, and more than the moonshot, more than the internet, they said the grid. But the funny thing about the grid is it was never actually designed. It just kind of evolved, right?
I never thought about that. That's true. It just sort of happened, didn't it, based upon necessity?
It evolved over 125 years. And so all of a sudden now we're talking about this massive transition to renewables. We're going to electrify everything. We're going to electrify all the buildings. That means we're going to need to have capacity on the grid, something in the neighborhood of 2.5 times, maybe 3 times the total capacity of our current grid, and we simply don't have it. So you've got to find ways to buffer electricity through the system, time shift the production and the consumption. And in a renewable energy world, storage, and specifically long duration storage, is really the only way to do that.
Hey, Eric, by the way, Eric Dresselhuys is the CEO of ESS Inc, their stock symbol GWH. My question for you is, as far as long duration energy storage market goes, I got to believe that we're just seeing the beginning of this thing. I mean, the addressable market is probably as small as it's going to be right now, if you consider what's happening in the next 5 to 10 years. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, no, it's very much early days here. This is, Tesla back 10 years ago when everybody said, I don't know if anybody really wants an electric car, and we saw what happened there. Long duration storage is predicted to be something north of a $1.3 trillion market opportunity globally between now and the end of the 2030s. And we're really just on the early days of that ramp.
Eric, I have to ask you with respect to the EV game, in commercial vehicles and what we're seeing on the roads today, do you think the iron flow world starts intersecting with the lithium world in that area?
Well, yeah, it does in a very specific way. It can really help create the grid infrastructure to support the charging of cars. So you're not going to see an iron flow battery go into a car. It's a different configuration. It's optimized for a different use case.
Sure.
But where you are going to see it come into play is, and you'll read about this certainly in California where you are, Sully, people are talking about EV penetration going, holy cow, can we come up with enough energy to support the charging of all these cars? And particularly think about electric trucks. They're a huge power draw on the grid. And the current grid simply isn't organized or coordinated or designed to meet those huge surges off the grid. You can mitigate that with batteries.
Sure. Eric, last of all for today, talk about your prime directives going forward here. Of course, you're CEO of a public company. You got to tell us everything. But what are the prime directives, short-term, long-term here, let's say 18 months, 5 years, based upon where technology is now and where it's going?
Well, I tell you, we're going to follow the same curve that you've seen in wind and in solar and in other renewable technologies. The volumes ramp dramatically, the cost fall dramatically. That allows us to have margin expansion while also lowering price at the same time. And that really creates a flywheel for growth. So we have to think about, as a business, scaling. How do we build our production capabilities fast enough to keep up? How do we address a global market demand? How do we service all of those customers? It's really all of the classic growth conundrums that someone in my seat has to face.
Eric, I appreciate it. I can't wait for you to come to San Diego. You're such a world traveler. It's tough to get you to pin down for 1 week, but can't wait to have you back on air. And let's get you in San Diego sooner than later. Eric Dresselhuys, CEO, ESS Inc. Stock symbol GWH, ESSinc.com. All right, Big Biz Show. That does it for us. Start rolling the credits. We'll see you next time.